Okay, so I haven't really done any happiness chapter reviews in quite a while. Last time I stopped on chapter 6 of happiness. So in this video for today, I'm going to focus on chapters 7 through 9. So let's get this started. So chapter 7 was really a setup chapter in the sense for chapters 8 and 9. We get to see more progression into Okazaki's character as he is becoming on good terms with Yuki and Shirashai, which is basically Yuki's supposed girlfriend, I guess you could say, and Okazaki's former friend, Nanaka, I think his name is. He is seeing Okazaki interact with these new friends that he has been making, and it's making Nanaka a little jealous. Later on, Okazaki is invited to Yuki's house as Yuki invited him himself. Shirashai also comes, and the two end up getting drunk, besides Okazaki, of course, because, you know, nobody got time for that. As Yuki and Shirashai are getting drunk by the alcohol, our main character, Okazaki, in the background is just kind of pondering on how exactly he can communicate with these people, because just due to our main character, he is very shy. It's really hard for him to communicate with people. He doesn't know what to do in these situations, and so, you know what, he says, you know what, I'll ask Yuki, how is he exactly connected to those guys that were beating up on him the other day? And he asked this to Yuki. Yuki spills the beans, possibly from being drunk, because if he wasn't drunk, I don't know if, you know, he would actually say this, but he later spills the beans and says, I used to be a part of their crew. And by this, we could probably tell that Yuki was in some sort of gang with those guys at the time, and the reason why he was being pummeled to the ground was for the fact, you know, they didn't really appreciate or approve of him leaving their gang. As Shirashai and Yuki get more tipsy from the alcohol, they become more flirtatious in a way, and Okazaki's like, nope, not having that, I'll see you later. So as soon as Okazaki leaves, we see that eventually, you know, they do have oral sex. You know, Shirashai is performing a BJ on Yuki, but anyway, that's besides the point. What's really important in this chapter is its ending. Okazaki gets a call from his former friend Nanaka, and he eventually meets up with Nanaka, and it turns out that Nanaka actually turned Okazaki in to the gang members that Yuki was talking about. Now, this could be due to jealousy, although I'm pretty sure it's not really leaning towards more of jealousy. It's for the fact that, you know, these gang members are dangerous people that Yuki used to associate with, so he could have ended up being bullied as well by these guys. And just seeing what these guys did to Okazaki in at the ending, you know, they're pummeling him to the ground and everything. You know, the artwork started to get really contorted and whatnot, and it was quite interesting to see. And the chapter ends off with Okazaki obviously being pummeled to the ground, but the gang members call Yuki, say, you better get your ass down here or else this guy is dead. So now let's move to chapter 8. Now, as far as chapter 8 goes, let me talk about the artwork for a little bit, because the artwork in this chapter, how it was done, was presented awesome. You know, it was presented really, really well. It just due to the fact on how the mangaka, this is the mangaka that brought us the Flowers of Evil. I haven't actually got to read the Flowers of Evil yet, although I do plan to get my hands on it eventually. But as far as I know from this mangaka, he or she takes the manga as, you know, they changed the artwork in terms of the atmosphere, what is going on with the chapter, and that I find is really awesome. Like, this chapter was, like, done in a grotesque manner. You know, some people will probably look at this and say, what are you talking about? It's just all scribbles and whatnot. But, you know, if you actually analyze the artwork in and of itself, you can actually tell what is going on and how it is trying to present in the chapter. We see Okazaki starting to slowly turn into a vampire in this chapter, and he, you know, he's growing the teeth and whatnot, and, you know, one of the gang members kicked the leader, kicked him right in the face, and he just chomps on the front piece of the shoe and totally just rips it off and whatnot. So if his teeth were to sink into, you know, the neck of him, you know, he would be gone. He's dead and whatnot. And later on, you know, he just keeps on turning and turning, slowly turning into a vampire, and he's just going crazy. Even the gang members are saying, look at this guy, he is spazzing out. And eventually another vampire comes along who is completely unknown to us on who he actually is, and he said, you know, you called onto me. I don't know what exactly he meant by that. I guess Okazaki may have the power to call on other vampires or something like that, but then again, the vampire goes on to the case of killing the gang members and also tries to end up killing Okazaki as well, until Yukio shows up and smacks him right upside the head, and Okazaki and Yuki try to get out of there as fast as they can, but eventually Yuki ends up getting bitten by the vampire. Chapter 9 opens up a day after the events where Yuki and Okazaki were attacked by the vampire and the whole situation with the gang members and whatnot. Now, Yuki apparently has gone missing. We don't know if he is dead, but we just know that apparently he has gone missing. And Okazaki, on the other hand, he is in the hospital. Gosho and Shirashai eventually go see Okazaki in the hospital, and they see him completely drained of life. He is pale, his lips are kind of shriveled up and whatnot, and he, you know, just really, he looks exhausted, and this is most likely due to the fact that he hasn't had any blood in the past day or two. And, you know, as a vampire, we know for a fact that, you know, they need blood in order to go on living. Now, he's not really confirming that he's a vampire. He is just giving them a little hint, just letting them know what's up on what's wrong with him at the moment and why he actually cannot be able to go to school or whatnot. But really, Gosho and Shirashai really have no idea what he's talking about. They just want to know what happened between Yuki and him and whatnot. So later on in the day, they eventually leave, and Okazaki is in the hospital room alone, and he's staring outside, and then that is when the vampire from Chapter 8 shows up. And then that is when Chapter 9 ends off. Now, most likely, just due to how this is being set up right now, this vampire that Okazaki has come across is probably going to basically give his own backstory on how exactly he became a vampire himself, because he said in Chapter 8, oh, you must be a newbie to this, you know. So this vampire is probably going to end up teaching Okazaki on how to actually live and be a vampire, and how to actually, you know, basically fend for himself in dangerous situations and also make food for himself. And Okazaki also wants to know what happened to Yuki, and if the new vampire is here at the moment, the one that Okazaki has come across, it doesn't seem like he necessarily disposed of Yuki, even though he, you know, ripped out, you know, basically part of Yuki's neck and whatnot. But it doesn't seem like that Yuki is dead, because Okazaki wants to go find him. So what I'm getting at is Yuki possibly going to turn into a vampire as well? Because as we know in the earlier chapters of Happiness, Okazaki got bit as well, and that's how he turned into a vampire, because he survived. And if Yuki survived by getting bit by a vampire as well, does this mean that Yuki will become a vampire as well? That about does it for my review of chapters 7 through 9 of Happiness, guys. Can't wait for more chapters to come out. Sorry that I've been late on this, but I will try my best to keep continuing and keeping up to date on the chapters as soon as they release. But yeah, that about does it for the video. If you like this video, please give a like and let me know in the comments down below your theories for the future chapters of Happiness and any other manga recommendations that you might have. And if you want to stay up to date to my future content, please hit the red subscribe button below and you will never miss a video from me. That about does it for the video, guys. Have a wonderful day, and I'll catch you in the next video. Catch you guys next time.